Finally, myth number 1, and this one may rattle your brain. Lots of well-meaning people believe foreign aid will cure poverty. Well, there is a cure, but it's not what we're doing now. The singer Bono stops most every concert to tell his fans Western governments can end poverty.
We have the resources, we have the know-how to end the extreme poverty.
Angelina Jolie goes to Africa to promote what would be possible if we would just spend more.
What we've seen on this day is that there are solutions.
The model village she's visiting is the creation of Jeffrey Sachs, a UN official and America's most vocal promoter of giving more foreign aid to Africa.
How can we go another day when 20,000 children are going to be dying of these stupid reasons?
Sachs helped persuade Western governments to double foreign aid to $50 billion. And the people in this model village are thrilled about getting all that help from Sachs and Jolie.
You look like an angel if you have all these poor people behind you. Of course they'll be smiling. Who wouldn't be smiling if they've just been given stuff? But that's not real life.
Journalist June Arunga grew up in Kenya, and she wonders why Americans waste money on foreign aid to Africa when politicians just steal it.
Africa is full of governments that steal money.
Billions of dollars are hidden by African politicians in Swiss banks, spent on mansions, lavish trips, and endless numbers of luxury cars. Even food aid gets stolen.
You find most of it is getting lost on the way.
Lost, these Kenyan farmers told us a few weeks ago when we went to see for ourselves. Lost, but then found for sale in street markets. So much is stolen because America has to rely on governments to administer foreign aid. And many African governments are kleptocracies.
Kenyan politicians who had very little before suddenly have huge mansions. Why are you giving them all the money? Why are you rewarding them?
People living in these Kenyan slums told us what they wanted most wasn't aid, it was a right to their property. In this slum, people work hard, selling clothing, shoes, furniture, but they can't climb out of poverty because no one's allowed to own this land. This carpenter says he'd expand his business, but he's afraid because the government might bulldoze it down for any random reason, at any time, like they're doing to this business, run by this woman. She had to flee her shop, grabbing whatever she could carry. In the end, she was left with nothing.
How much money, if you gave the Kenyan government, how would that solve that problem? How does that solve the problem of the government raising down people's businesses?
And when the media tried to expose corruption, the government burned the newspapers. The Kenyan government made John Gitango its anti-corruption watchdog. But when he complained that government was stealing money, they told him, back off.
If you continue down the path that we're continuing, then you will come to a sticky end.
And in Kenya, what is a sticky end?
A car accident.
He fled the country for England, where he now lives in exile. Government officials say we can cure poverty if we just give more foreign aid.
No amount of foreign aid is going to make any difference.
He's a wonderful person. He's just wrong on this issue.
Is he? In the past 40 years, Western governments gave Africa over $500 billion. Yet Africa's even poorer than it was before the foreign aid was given. 2 studies by the World Bank say foreign aid is one of the problems because higher aid levels erode the quality of governance. The cash allows the kleptocrats to continue their corruption.
Money is not the problem. There's so much money in the world just looking for a place to be invested. And we've seen how people have just rushed into China to go invest their money, rushing into India.
50 years ago, countries in East Asia were as poor as Africa. Now many are rich, not because of foreign aid, but because their governments created understandable laws so people could trade, borrow, and start their own businesses. I went to Hong Kong and in one day, with one form, got legal permission to open a business.
Thank you, sir.
The next day, Stossel Enterprises was open, selling ABC stuff. In Kenya, to open a legal business, you might have to get licenses from 20 ministries, and you may have to bribe people. It can take years, and the government can still shut you down. So this carpenter doesn't expand his business. Foreign aid won't solve that, especially if it's stolen. We've spent $500 billion in foreign aid.
we've poured it down a rat hole.
This idea that the poorest of the poor are our enemy is the big lie that we tell all of the time. You are repeating it endlessly right now.
That they're our enemy?
Well, yes, that all they want to do is shake you down, that this is the biggest thing. So
The poor people don't want to shake me down. The rich leaders of these countries want to shake me down.
Our government can find practical ways to ensure that the money that we're actually giving for real things there reach the real people.
We can do that in Africa. We can barely do it in America.
Audit what's happening, and those systems have been shown repeatedly to work.
Sachs and Bono say we just need to spend more money. So Bono asks his fans to sign a petition.
You can do it quite easy. You just take out your cell phone.
Use your cell phone to send a message, he says, demanding our politicians increase foreign aid. But why petition politicians? Why doesn't he ask his fans to spend their own money? It's good to help. I'll contribute to a charity like the Free Africa Foundation, which builds these malaria-free villages. Charities are much more likely to keep a close eye on the money. If they don't, donors stop giving. By contrast, foreign aid often just makes politicians rich, but leaves their people poor.